Right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're here with the CEO of Infusionsoft, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Clate Mask, who has actually been, he probably doesn't know this, not only a friend for the last 4 or 5 years now, but also a mentor and an unknown strategic advisor. I'm always watching what you do, always listening to what you say, and I'm getting an incredible amount of value just by being around you guys for the last 5 years. What was it that drove you guys to start Infusionsoft in the first place?
Well, the funny thing is we didn't start Infusionsoft. We just started a business that helps small businesses do better sales and marketing using the internet. I mean, that was the extent of the grand thinking back 14 years ago. So we just wanted to be our own boss. We wanted to help small businesses do sales and marketing online more effectively, and that created a web-based CRM marketing automation software about 3 years later. I mean, it took that long to get out of the world of custom software and into a place where we had our product. And it wasn't until 2005 that the Infusionsoft, the software, was really born.
That was a 3 year
Took about
process.
3 years. Yeah.
So was that 3 years to really find your identity? Like 3 years to really find out?
It was 3 years of hell. That's what it was. It was. I mean, to be totally blunt, it was awful. And I'm serious when I say that for probably 2 of those 3 years, I like prayed every night that it would someday be a good thing for people that were involved, because it felt so torturous to be involved with it. It was that hard. I mean, it was. I wouldn't have wished it on my worst enemy.
Really? Okay, that's interesting. Something you just said, that you prayed every night. Literally, you actually sat down every night and consciously went through like a mantra or a prayer.
I literally did. I will tell you the exact phrase that I said.
Please.
I don't know how many times. I would say, please help Infusionsoft to someday be a blessing to all of the employees, customers, and partners, and everybody associated with the business.
Wow.
I said that I don't know how many times, and it wasn't just once a day.
I think that really points to the importance of being conscious of your language, but also very intentional with what you're putting out into the world, world, the universe, whatever you want to call it. So I'm curious to know, is that a strategy that you've used for a long time in terms of how you create? Is prayer, is using language in a very intentional way something that you use?
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't know that I've ever really thought of my prayer as my intentionality of creating in the world, and it's kind of funny because I'm very prayerful, and I'm also very much a believer of the intentionality of our words and that our words create in the world. But I've never really put those two things together, and I guess that's exactly what I do. Yeah.
What's interesting when you look at the concept of language and how it's been used for centuries to create. We've got the shamans of old, we've got the alchemists of old, we've got the religions that have been around for so long, and also the magicians of old, and they all use language with a level of frequency and repetition and intensity to create miraculous things. So it's not. I'm not surprised to hear you say that, because it's would you say it's a miracle that Infusionsoft got from where it was then to where it is today?
I would absolutely say that, yeah. Fantastic. And it'll be a miracle to see what happens from today to the end of 20, 30, and 15 years.
Wow. But what I'm curious to know, you guys look after how many small businesses around the world?
Over 30,000 businesses and over 120,000 users of the software.
So what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make when they start businesses?
I think that probably the biggest thing is they don't realize how much they're going to have to push through to be successful. I think that most people start and they think that they know it's going to be hard, but they don't realize mentally and emotionally what they have to get through in order to achieve success. I mean, when I talk to business owners again and again and again, I hear a 2 to 3 year journey before they actually begin to feel the spoils of success. And most business owners just don't have what it takes to go through that. So I think the biggest mistake is a lack of mental and emotional preparation and a lack of resolve to get through it. I think a lot of people start their business thinking, well, I'm going to kind of figure out if the market receives this. Well, I can guarantee you the market's not going to receive it. The market's going to take what you drive out into the market and inflict your will upon the market. It's not going to be like, oh, sure, just come and we'll take whatever you have. That's just not how it works. Of course, you're looking for demand, you're looking for ways to make it easier, but I think most entrepreneurs don't have that grit and tenacity and drive to go create a market for what their product and service is.
Do you think if we actually knew when we started how tough it would be, that we might second guess ourselves?
Yes, I do. And I think that I always call it, there's a naivety to it. And we certainly had that. And there is no way we would have created what we created in Infusionsoft if I knew just how hard it was in the very beginning. I didn't, we were naive, and I think that naivety served us well.
So you would agree, not being naive in the early stages is important?
I think it is.
But to a point?
Yes.
Do you think that naivete at some point becomes not an asset, but an actual liability?
I do, and particularly where the growth or the willingness to take on those challenges that you discover, when you start to learn, you start to see what it is. If you don't have the drive and the conviction to push through all of that, then the naivety is really it's kind of a pipe dream, what you're hoping for. It's kind of just this hope, cross your fingers, it's going to work out. Well, that's not it. It's work. It's a lot of work. I think the biggest challenge for us has been effectively marketing to the small business that wants to grow. Because everybody says they want to grow, but I mean the ones that want to grow, that'll do the work, that'll drive and push through the challenges. And the challenge for us at Infusionsoft is when you're marketing to small businesses, the vast majority aren't willing to do the work to grow. And when we overshoot that and we bring in businesses that don't want to do that, then they point the finger and say, well, you guys didn't do this, you didn't do that. And they're right. I'll ultimately take all the responsibility for a customer that comes in that isn't successful. But to be totally candid, over the years, we've adjusted. There are times where we're right on and we're bringing in the right customers and the success rate is high for our customers. And then there are times where we're off a little bit and we're bringing in customers where their expectation of what's needed to be successful using sales and marketing automation is off. They think there's an easy button somewhere they push, or there's a magic pill they swallow, and all of a sudden they wake up and everything's amazing. And it's like, no, I'm sorry that we conveyed that somehow, that you would believe that that's the world we live in. I want to be the anti-silver bullet to success in small business. I want people to understand it's frickin' work.
You're selling hard work.
Yeah, it is hard work. And there are times in our history where we've gotten off a little bit on that. There are times where we're right on, and then there are times where it's off. And it's tricky because with 27 million small businesses in the U.S. alone, not to mention the world that we market to, it's easy to accidentally bring in some in ways where they're not really realistic about the work that they need to do.
So the biggest challenge has been finding the right customer.
Yep.
So how did you resolve that? Like, what have you done that has helped you get through that pain point?
I think it's a really interesting thing, because what it is, it's a constant evaluation and refinement of the brand message and the positioning and the way that you speak it out into the world. And what happens is you get it right, and then the company's growing and growing and growing, you're bringing on more people, and it gets off to just a little degree. And the bigger you get, the smaller the degree that it's off creates a big impact. So a big negative impact. And so it's really interesting because it's very subtle nuances. You have to notice, oh wait, we're saying this with just a little bit, just the word is off just a little bit there. And we could have survived that just fine 3-5 years ago. But now that brings in a whole bunch of people that are the wrong people.
Right. So the importance with knowing how to communicate to your market.
Yeah.
Best piece of advice you've ever received?
I'd say the best piece of advice I've ever received is you have to grow if your business is going to grow. And really taking that in. That's why for years I've done coaching, surrounding myself with people that are pushing me to grow and not being afraid of that. And I think a lot of times business owners don't embrace the growth that they have to go through. They want their business to grow, but they aren't willing to grow themselves, and it doesn't work that way.
Do you see a lot of businesses that end up becoming driven towards personal development, but then kind of miss the mark when it comes to, because personal development, I've observed, is really easy when life is going well. It's one of those things that you can be, you can know all of the things about positivity and all of the things that relate to personal development and positive psychology, but it's not until the shit hits the fan that you actually get a barometer of where your level of personal development is at. So, I'm going to ask you a double-ended question. What would be the advice that you would give to someone who may be starting out on their journey, maybe having a few struggles along the way, that might give them hope or might help them on their journey? Yeah.
So for that person, I would say, it really is every day that you continue in what you're doing, you're getting stronger, you're getting better. It doesn't feel that way when you're in it because you're dealing with all the crap, and you can easily get inside your head and say, gosh, I must just suck because this isn't going very well. But you really are. I remember very clearly the day in Infusionsoft when we were struggling like crazy, and we were 2.5 years in, And I just felt like I couldn't do the survival game anymore. I was just dying. And I had this thought, and I realized, you know what, every single day that you survive, you're getting better, you're getting stronger, you're going to increase your likelihood of success. So I think just understanding what you're really up against in the personal development in those early days. I think it's actually even more, the personal development angle is even more critical when you have achieved a certain level of success, because you are going to hit barriers. You're going to run into things where things are going great, as you said, and then all of a sudden they're not going so great. And I believe the critical thing at that point, and I think what sometimes is missed for so many people who are into personal development, as you and I are, is that when you hit that point, it's actually humility that is what makes personal development work at the next level and the next level and the next level. And a lot of times I see leaders who lack that humility. And I've seen this in myself, where I realize I'm not pushing through to the next level because I'm too freaking proud about something. And it's like, you know what? Let go of that. Recognize that you just need to learn, you just need to grow, and maybe you don't know what you think you know. And then that opens up the next level of development in that personal development. So I think personal development without humility is going to slam into a brick wall at some point.
How important is failure?
It's the other side of growth. So a lot of times people see failure and success. It's actually not failure and success. It's failure and growth, and they go together. So you have to have failure in order to grow, and you can't grow without that failure.
And to someone who's failing right now, what would you say to them?
I'd say, welcome to the club.
You're on the right path.
That's
You're
right.
on the right path. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
And last question, at a high level, what's next for Infusionsoft?
It is a product-driven company that is leading the way in small business success. I mean, that's the high level. And about a year and a half ago, I declared we are going to be a product-driven company. For the first 10 years of the business, we weren't product-driven. I know that might sound kind of weird in a software company, but we really weren't. We were really more sales and marketing-driven. And when we set out on this much bigger vision we have through 2030, I said product will lead the way, and product must lead the way. And so we began making some adjustments there in leadership. We began making some adjustments in the philosophy and the approach, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. And if people want to follow your journey, what's your social channel that you're most active on?
Probably Twitter. I think that's probably the most.
We'll just put your Twitter handle right, bing, there.
Okay.
Maybe the Infusionsoft website, bing, there.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's cool. Clate, I know you're busy. It's in InfusionCon 16. I'm so grateful for your time.
You bet.
And thank you for your time.
All right. It's been great talking with you.